The iSchool in VCARA was well represented at Second Life's 20th birthday party in summer 2023, and 20 years is indeed an epic milestone in virtual worlds. In the midst of a lot of hype around the metaverse, the fact is that citizens of Second Life have been among the most deeply engaged in creating virtual community and collaborative virtual spaces for a long time. While Second Life remains a very niche virtual world, its user base has been consistent and deeply loyal. We heard through the grapevine they were deluged with applications for exhibit space, so we were honored not only that our application was accepted, we got the largest parcel size that we requested. VCARA wanted to showcase the 10-year history of San Jose State University's iSchool in virtual worlds, from our earliest work in Second Life to our current work with browser-based virtual reality, and also the monthly adventures of our VR Exploders Club that we've been running since late 2019. So how does a collaborative build like this come together? First, we mocked up ideas in our own sandbox area and laid down the size parameters of the exhibit space. We also scoured our own region and inventory for content, decorations, and landscape materials to bring our area to life. We divided our exhibit space into 4 quadrants with intersecting walkways so that you could walk right in from any of the streets that bordered our area. Our central courtyard had a guest book people could sign and a birthday card we created for the community that we are so thankful to be a part of. Each quadrant of our exhibit represents something different about VCARA's history. The first is a mini version of our landmark 10-story archivium, which houses a floor for every year of research symposiums with all the different presentation materials. The second is a mini Victorian courtyard, which pays homage to the enormous Victorian village on our own region. One of our MLIS students added some of her exhibit materials there, and here's a picture of Shannon with the research poster she presented earlier in the year at the Virtual Worlds Best Practices in Education Conference. The third area represents our work with the VR Exploders. We house that content in a large dome of the universe, representing all the uncharted spaces that all these new VR platforms represent. And finally, we had a small gated garden house related to our Mozilla Hubs initiative, which we think of as the bridge or gateway to using more complex social virtual environments. The region itself was beautiful, day or night. You could ride in little self-driving cars, and as you passed by different locations, information about that location would appear in chat. There were tons of events, concerts, dance parties, and other activities happening. It took place over several weeks. In a virtual world as big as Second Life, you can be easily mistaken in thinking that these spaces are abandoned or that nobody else is around. But when you use the world map and zoom out to put in scale just how big this environment really is, you get a glimpse of how enormous Second Life is. And all these green dots are people. And where there's large clusters of them, well, those are different events. I'm going to leave you with just a few thoughts about an emerging metaverse, because there's currently an exponentially increasing number of competing platforms trying to build this, along with a growing number of vendors and consultants who are relatively new to virtual spaces, never mind the deep historical significance of what's come before. These observations come from Wagner James Au's excellent primer published in early 2023. In making a metaverse that matters, from Snow Crash in Second Life to a virtual world worth fighting for, Au argues that Second Life is the standard by which other platforms will be held against, and it's a pretty high bar. He writes, and I quote, "If an implicit goal of the metaverse is to be a microcosm of the real world and its people at their very best, as I believe it is, Second Life has succeeded at this. Because its creativity tools are open and powerful, its user community is diverse, and its company shares virtual world revenue about equally with a user community whose members are free to create endless value and possibility." Au's observations certainly resonate for VCARA members and some of us VR Exploders, and that's why many of us are still in Second Life. To riff on a great quote about science by Richard Dawkins, Second Life, it works, bitches.